up? Good Tuesday morning. This unpredictable, crazy NFL rolls on as you get another one of these huge upsets last night as the Philadelphia Eagles lose their first game of the year to the Washington Commanders. Mercury Morris, Larry Zonka, Eddie Scazzeri, the only three people that are still alive that care about the 72 Dolphins remaining the only undefeated team. Celebratory cork as that does not sound like a cork popping there, Eddie. That sounds like someone dropping little droplets in a bathtub. But anyway, the Eagles lose, the Commanders win. You know, by the way, the New York Giants are a game out of the division, a game out of the 1 seed, and they play the Eagles twice, and they play the Vikings. What the hell is going on? Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, welcome to the party, Washington Commanders and Taylor Heineke, man. What a game last night. And, you know, you turn the ball over like the Eagles did, they're going to end up losing. And there was a bad call in there where there was a face mask that did lead to a Eagle fumble. But they just got outplayed, man. And Jordan Davis, you know, that big defensive tackle that they drafted out of Georgia is hurt. And since that time, the Eagle run defense has been really bad. And, like, now is the time that you want to play them, especially, you know, against their defense. I didn't think the defense played all that great last night, and James Robinson, rookie running back for the Commanders, just ran over them. The amount of plays that they ran in the first half, the Commanders, compared to the Eagles, just showed you all you needed to know that, you know, you could control the ball against the Eagles. And welcome to the party, like I said, to the Commanders, because, you know, they're 5-5 now. And there are two divisions in the NFL where everybody in that division is either 500 or better. And that happens to be the AFC and NFC East. And, of course, the Giants and the Jets are both a part of those divisions.
That is right.
And which is really amazing. So when you think about what we saw last night, you realize that there are vulnerabilities against, you know, a team that was undefeated going into last night's game. They could be thrown against. They could be run against. And Taylor Heineke played well last night. I mean, he had one bad interception. I thought, oh, my, here we go. We're in the second half. He's throwing interceptions again. But I think that the Eagles were more than happy to give the ball back to the Commanders. And ultimately, you know, the Eagles were plus 18 going into last night's game with the turnover differential. And they were number one in the league. And last night they lost that turnover battle as they turned the ball over 4 different times. And that's the key stat for all coaches. It's one of the reasons why Brian Daboll has been all over, you know, Daniel Jones since week 1 stopped turning the ball over. That's why, you know, we're all over Zach Wilson of the Jets. Don't turn the ball over. If you just play a clean game and you can hold on to the football, more teams will lose games than other teams will win games. And last night, if you ask me, I mean, like the Commanders outplayed the Eagles. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to take anything away from them. But when you turn the ball over the way the Eagles did, you've lost the game. And that's exactly what happened. So now the Commanders are in the party. And they are no longer an afterthought. They're no longer, hey, we're going to win that game because they're on our schedule.
Yeah, and it's crazy at this point of the season when we're sitting here in mid-November that the Giants still have 5 division games left. They've only played 1 division game.
And they got beat.
Right, they did by the Dallas Cowboys, of course. So they've got the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, they've got the Commanders twice, and they've got the Eagles twice. So if you want to talk about how this division is going to shake out, look no farther than those 5 games right there. And it'll be really, really interesting to see where the Giants stack up against the teams in this division because we haven't seen it outside of Cooper Rush and the Cowboys taking on the Giants in 1 game earlier this season.
Right, so they lost the Cooper Rush and the Cowboys. So let me ask you this question, and just about the 4 teams that are in the division, and because the Giants have 5 games left in the division. Which team and how would you rank the running games in this division?
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I think that the Giants have a great running game, and Saquon Barkley is having, you know, a Pro Bowl season. So I would put the Giants right up there. I think that the Eagles, with the way that they have played outside of last night, it's been a balanced attack. I'd probably put the Eagles second. Brian Robinson was good last night, but I can't put them third. I would then go Cowboys with Pollard when Zeke gets healthy, and then the Commanders fourth. That's what I would do.
So that's the running game.
Yeah.
Now, how about the passing game?
Giants fourth. Easy. I would say Jalen Hurts and the Eagles first. I'd put the fifth, the Cowboys second, the Commanders third, and the Giants fourth.
Okay,
You
so-
disagree with any of this? By the way?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I mean, you're on it. I mean, we sit here each and every week and we discuss these things, and I'm just trying to put this whole thing in perspective that, the Commanders are a real team, and Chase Young will come back. We all thought that he was going to play last night, and he didn't play last night. They got a damn good defense, and Joe and Troy were talking about it last night, their defensive line, especially their interior, too, that Jonathan Allen's a pain in the ass. So when they get Chase Young back, they're going to be wholly there, and, I'm sure that Ron Rivera told his team last night after the game, see, I told you guys we could play with any of these teams. We could play, hell, they took the Vikings all the way until the fourth quarter.
Right, but
the
the
Vikings had to come back.
Right, they did. They were up 17-7, and they ended up losing that football game. The Commanders did. So yeah, I mean, there's no doubt.
Commanders are a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
is what
sure.
they are.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they're definitely not a pushover. You focused a lot on the Commanders and what it means to the NFC. I mean, I think that the Eagles losing in this way is significant too, because I mean, at this point, the Eagles were the one team that it felt like was invincible in the NFL. You had the Chiefs lose a couple of games. The Bills have lost 2 in a row. You had in the NFC a ton of teams that are sort of in the middle or slightly above average or whatever they were. The Vikings are 8-1, but the one loss that they had was to the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles were undefeated. So the Eagles, to me, felt like the best team in the NFL, hands down. And on national TV, a division rival with a backup quarterback went into their building and smacked them around. And that, to me, is significant. Because if this team is to get the 1 seed, and which it's still on track to do, but if they get the 1 seed and you got to go through Philadelphia, I mean, I got evidence here that you could beat them in that building. So, which we didn't have prior to that, which to me is significant. And yeah, I mean, it's not like, the turnovers were the story. I mean, really 3 turnovers because that 4th one didn't mean anything really at the end of the game.
Well, the 1 turnover came on a face mask call, and the most
that
amazing,
wasn't called.
I know.
Right,
but the most amazing thing to me is that they can review as to whether or not the guy who recovers the fumble is down by contact, but they can't review the fact that Dallas Goedert almost had his head ripped off.
Yeah, when you go in and look at that, you should be able to. If you see something, hey, that's a penalty. You should be able to.
If you see something, say something.
Say something.
That's what I always say. If you see something, say something. And I'm with Bill Belichick, man. Me and Bill Belichick on the same wavelength about this whole thing. Yeah, coach should be able to challenge all these things.
Like penalties as well that are judgment calls, because we saw that for 1 year.
That's not a judgment call. That is a face mask, and it should be called. I know
that is. You just said everything is what I'm saying. To me, that's clear as day. But when you say you challenge everything, then you're bringing in that pass interference challenge stuff, which was a complete mess that 1 year.
All right. So this is obvious. I mean, this is like, well, why do we have replay? We have replay to see whether or not the guy who recovers the ball is actually touchdown where he recovers it, or can he run it back for a touchdown? But yet we can't call the face mask that we can see clear as day.
Yeah,
is that the dumbest thing you've ever heard?
Doesn't make any sense. Makes no sense.
It's the same thing when it comes to those judgment calls where receivers are getting hit by. You all right, Al?
Yeah, I kicked something.
You sure? You're fine?
Yeah.
Okay. I noticed that you were distracted. I didn't know what I hit. Right. Super North. What's that sweatshirt?
From Minnesota.
Minnesota sweatshirt. Yeah. You're wearing it in honor of Gio. Because he's activated.
No, he's not.
He's activated.
No, I've got beef with Al, man. I'm telling
you got
you.
beef with Al.
He's got no respect for the Vikings. I'm taking it personally now. He does his fraudulent 5 teams every week, and I tune in for this. It's a benchmark segment, as they call on radio.
It's a benchmark segment, so it's fraudulent 5.
The fraudulent 5 teams, and I'm thinking this is the first week, and I understood why I didn't put the Vikings in prior to this week, but they played one of the greatest games against the Bills that I've ever seen.
Yes.
We've all ever seen.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, we're not just me, not just you. This isn't biased.
No, this is everybody.
Everybody said this. Justin Jefferson, greatest catch, one of the top catches in NFL history.
I still think it was the best catch I've ever seen.
And they're 8-1.
Yes.
So I'm waiting finally for. I don't know why this meant anything to me, but I was waiting finally for Al to put the Vikings in his fraudulent 5.
And you benchmarked him into your fraudulent 5?
And he's got the Colts in there. He's got the Bucks in there. And I was like, what in the hell's going on? He did not put the Vikings in there. And then when pressed on it, because Jerry was upset as well, he goes, what, no Vikings? And he goes, they're not interesting to me. And I was at that point, I turned the warm-up show off.
So what are the fraudulent 5? Are those teams that are
They're just teams I'm rooting for.
Oh, teams you're rooting
Yeah.
for. Oh, I see.
Like-
I thought there were teams that you would say like these teams aren't as good as everybody thinks.
No,
they
it's
are.
he's a fraud fan. So
you're
these
a
are his.
fraud fan.
So
Yeah.
that's what it comes from. Yeah.
All right, so who are you a fraud fan of then?
Jets,
Yes.
Cowboys,
Right.
Bucks.
Yeah.
Who was the other one?
Colts
Colts.
You're a fan of the Colts.
Yeah, now I am. I'm rooting for the Colts
Why?
and the Chiefs you put in there.
and the Chiefs.
Why
Yeah,
you're rooting for the Colts because my friend got fired? Is that why?
Yes.
because everyone was
There goes
yelling
your bonus.
about Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, see,
now I'm
this-
rooting for him.
very passive aggressive. You know,
Oh, I
your friend
see.
gets fired there at the Colts. Now he's got the Colts in his list. He's got the Vikings out. This is about us. Is
but-
what I
I
really.
see what's going
But
on.
Gio is a longtime Viking fan and just now has been activated. So you would expect a non-fan to still take an
Well,
additional week to be activated.
He has been bitching for years about this team. Just like the Jet fan, just like the Giant fan, although the Giant fan has the hardware, the Jet fan really doesn't. So Gio's gone all Jet fan on us and has been bitching for years about his team.
Absolutely, and rightfully so. That's what people do.
You know, the amazing thing is you've had two of the greatest games ever. You had the Minneapolis Miracle against the Saints, and then you had this past week against the Bills.
Yeah, those are two great games on the right end of those. Yeah,
Those are two unbelievable games.
yeah, on the right end of
And then
both of those.
you were activated after that Minneapolis Miracle, too.
I
You were
was.
activated going into that game, too, by the way.
Yeah, and then even though I thought that they weren't going to beat the Eagles, you convinced me to in that NFC Championship game. You convinced me to get excited about it
Why
because you brought all
wouldn't
this
you?
stuff back. Well, why wouldn't I? Because they always lose an NFC Championship game. And then I was like, all right, they're going to win. And they go right down the field, score a touchdown, and get killed the rest of the game. But anyway, none of that matters because Al's not interested in the 8-1 Minnesota Vikings. If the Vikings beat the Cowboys this week, 425 on CBS, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Huge game. Will they be in there? Is that fair?
They may replace the Cowboys.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question? Why aren't the 49ers in there?
Not interested yet.
Not interested yet with Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah.
Debo Samuel to like Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle? Come on, man. These guys are great.
But I have a deep,
Nick Bosa?
growing up a Cowboy fan, I'm not a fan of the 49ers, so I have to, it's going to take a little more.
Hey, believe me, I've been torched and blowtorched by the 49ers over and over again. So
Really?
I kind of feel what you're feeling, but I have to be objective in these things.
Let's talk about it.
No, it's not. but I have to tell you, I'm telling you, that team is a real team, man.
You know, there's two
That team will
people.
get after your ass, Sal.
There's two people in my life that I see every day that are impossible to impress. One is Al Dukes, the other is my wife. I can't impress either one of these two. Like, it takes a lot to impress both of these people. It's very, very hard. And here I am, like, hoping that Al takes notice of the Minnesota Vikings.
I know what you're talking about. It's kind of like Kirk Cousins, a little bit of a flatliner.
Yeah.
Not this year, man. Not this year.
I mean, Justin Jefferson
With
is
the
the
chains
man.
and everything. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Justin Jefferson is the man. There is no question.
He
about
knocked
it.
he knocked the Giants off his fraudulent 5. They're 7-2. They won another game at home. He knocked them out of there.
He hasn't liked the Giants for years. He's so sick and tired of talking to Giant fans about the offensive line
And yet
Eli.
they've been on the list this year.
Right, for like weeks and weeks and
And
weeks.
the Eagles made the list, and Jerry was livid about it because the Eagles are a hated rival.
But I was rooting for Jalen Hurts. Legitimately, I was like, I'm hoping this guy wins.
And then one game they lose, and
Now,
then
now
they're
they're
out.
off the list.
This is why it's a
For now,
fraudulent.
yeah.
This is a fraudulent fan.
And Al's a people person all of a sudden.
How about Taylor
More
Heineke?
fraud.
He seems like your type of guy.
I do like him.
You do like him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Daniel Jones or Taylor Heineke?
Taylor
rest-
Heineke.
All right, interesting. He has got a little more juice. I will say that. Now, Daniel Jones has played very, very well this year, but Taylor Heineke's got a little more like energy. You know what I'm saying?
He's got a little more in your face kind of
Yeah,
attitude. It's kind of
yeah.
like Jalen Hurts a little bit.
He's alive. He's not a mannequin.
Yeah, he
Right.
throws the ball down the field. He'll take a risk. He's running around. You know.
Yep.
I mean, there's some energy there from Taylor Heineke. That's going to be interesting. Those two games against the Giants that are left.
Oh man.
These teams feel very evenly matched at this point, don't they?
Yes. I'm telling you, they're going to be a pain in the ass.
All right, those 4 games. I know you hate this. That's why I do it all the time. Those 4
What?
games, the Eagles and the Commanders that they have left, the Giants, they will go what in those 4 games? I'm going to say 1-3.
1-3.
Is that fair?
That's fair.
1-3?
Yep, that's fair.
Giant fans all pissed off right now. I can just feel
I
it.
mean, I understand it. Of course they are. I'd be too, but it is what it is. I mean, we saw the the Commanders basically controlled the entire first half of last night's game.
Yeah, I know, but this is the problem. We're so reactionary to what we see, but none of it makes any sense, and none of it ends up mattering.
A recency bias.
Of course.
Yes.
So, we're saying this now, but, I mean, we just saw the Giants beat the Texans. They're 7-2. They're
Barely.
having this great year, but we just saw the Eagles lose, so now all of a sudden the Commanders are the hot team that we're talking about. But, I mean, they haven't had a great year. They're 5-5.
They're making a run.
Making a run.
Just remember now, they got 7 games left. That's a lot. That's a lot of football to be played there, G.
Yeah, it is. So I know that they've got. Did they play the Eagles? Was that the first time they played the Eagles this year, the Commanders? You know what it is now that Daniel Snyder's going to sell, all of a sudden they're waking up. That's what it has to do with.
You think everybody's happy about
now it's going to go on a run. All right, so, oh, wow. They're.